Welcome back, everybody, to another chapter in this very, very long book that is The Hunt for my Shiny Turtwig starter. By the way, for the record, in case you're new here, catching a Shiny Turtwig, that's not enough. I have a Shiny Turtwig already. But what I need is a Shiny Turtwig as my starter in Shining Pearl, a game that most people consider to be pretty bad, but I wouldn't know because I haven't played it yet. Because I've been looking for this Shiny Turtwig for like a year and a half since the game came out. And who knows? Maybe this will be the one. If I finally get this Shiny Turtwig as the first reset of the stream, that would be significant. I don't know what exactly it would mean, but it would be significant. Hello, Dimension Weirdo. Alright, well, it's not the first one of the stream. That's good. That means we have more of a stream. Game music might be a bit loud. Can adjust that. I don't know why that is. How's that? Is that any better? It still looks like it's peaking. I don't know why that is. My mic is too quiet and the game volume is too loud. Huh? Ain't that just the way? I changed nothing from yesterday. And yet, my mic is too quiet and the game is too loud. No settings have been changed. Maybe I'll do this. Is that any better? Still too loud. How about that? That's really strange. Might be a problem with 4K capture utility. Thank you, all Newts. Keep in mind, I also have a delay from chat, so I'm seeing these messages like 30 seconds in the past. Excuse me. See if I adjust this. 'Cause like, it's weird. It's coming through in my earbuds very, very quiet. So it must be something with the way it's being captured with the 4K capture utility. Do I think Paradox Pokemon or Ultra Beasts are a more creative concept? I don't think it's a something that can be, you know, you can't really quantify creativity. Something is not really more or less creative than something else. I think that it comes down to what you as an individual consumer enjoy more from something like Pokemon. Do you like exploring the abstract in Pokemon? intentionally breaking the design conventions of Pokemon to make something that feels very intentionally alien, something that feels like it doesn't belong in the world of Pokemon. And if that's the case, then you probably like Ultra Beasts more. If you're like a little bit more straightforward kind of tweaks to existing Pokemon designs, you know, i.e. Jigglypuff but prehistoric, or, you know, Donphan but a robot, you know, something a little bit more simple, and just sort of taking a familiar concept and giving it a new coat of paint, then you probably like Paradox Pokemon more. I can't say I like one more than the other. There's a lot that I like about the Ultra Beast. There's a lot I like about Paradox forms. But I can't say that one is more creative than the other. Will I ever draw Ultra Beasts? I have drawn Ultra Beasts. And I probably will. that question is, you guys ever seen that interview with Elijah Wood? And I can't remember the other actor's name, but the guy who plays either Merry or Pippin in the Lord of the Rings movies. And he asks him, he's doing a character, and he asks Elijah Wood, have you worn wigs? Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? Will you draw Ultra Beasts? When will you draw Ultra Beasts? I have drawn Ultra Beasts before. I've drawn a lot of things. It may come as a surprise to you, but I have drawn a lot of different things in my time. Some things I can't share in a YouTube stream. Next Turtwig is shiny? Okay, if you say so. Now that's a tough claim to make because there's a stream delay about 30 seconds, so I don't know if that means the next shiny after I read that message or the next shiny after you sent that message. I don't know. I'm going to say it's this one. This one is the shiny one, according to Dusk. And if it's not, well, then you're not allowed back in my streams because you lied to me. I trusted you. You said trust me. I trusted you. Well, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Let's see. If it's not, then yeah, I'm sorry. You're just not allowed in the stream anymore. That's how it works. If you promise me a shiny and I don't get it, then you will be punished for that. My wrist hurt. It's bruised. I got tenderness in my wrist right now. Hi, Dorian Sanders. You haven't gotten the newest mods of Pokemon uploaded to DeviantArt yet? No, that's going to be a big project because I'm in the process of redoing all of those pages and I want to re-upload them all at once. So the new ones probably won't be on DeviantArt for a while. Once I update the formats for other Pokemon, I'm going to be re-uploading all of that stuff. Alright, Dusk. Get out of my chat. That's not a shiny. You lied to me. I trusted you. I had nothing but the utmost faith in what you told me, and it was a lie. Really been enjoying the Poketo brush pack that you made, and I just wanted to say thanks. It makes drawing Fakemon 1,000 times easier. Well, you're very welcome, but I can't take credit for that. I did not make that brush pack. Claire made that brush pack. Say hi, Claire. Hi. Claire made that brush pack. I use it, but I did not make it. But I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that it helps. It really does help. I was not using that back when I first started designing Pokemon. It was only just recently that Claire made those brushes, and I think it has helped me a lot in my own artwork as well. Are you ever do some Paleoart? I've also done Paleoart, yes. I've been drawing dinosaurs since I was 5 years old. I draw dinosaurs pretty frequently, actually. Dinosaurs and dinosaur-like creatures. I have a 20 to 25% chance to get a shiny at this point. I don't think that's how probability works. I think I have a 1 in 4,096 chance of getting a shiny at this point. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that's not how probability works. The development server has been waiting. Oh, well, I sent the PNGs to someone in the development server. Now that we have a channel just for communicating with me, someone asked me directly for the PNGs, and I gave them to them. Let's see, who did I give them to? It was Chespin who asked for the PNGs, and I sent them. So someone in the development team has the images of the newest Pokemon. Hey, could you draw new Pokemon on stream sometime? Yeah, absolutely. I probably will. I probably will. Probably also work on some other stuff on stream too. I like sharing my other artwork with you guys, and usually what you see is just my Pokemon stuff, but I do other artwork too, and it's nice to share that on stream. There will be a shiny before 50,000. That's your prediction. Oh, that's it. See, now that's a good prediction. That is someone who knows how to keep a promise. Shiny hunting Virizion right now. That's a good shiny. Virizion is probably the only one of the legendary swords, or the Swords of Justice, whatever that trio or quartet is called. It's probably the only one that I actually like. And I do like that shiny. That pink and green, such a nice set of colors to pair together. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Just wanted to say you're a big inspiration for my art. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that I'm a big inspiration. Love to hear that. Have I thought of making fan-made Digimon? Now, that is something that I will not do. I'll draw dinosaurs. I'll draw Paradox Pokemon. I'm not going to come up with fake Digimon. I'm not really a Digimon fan. Should ask Claire. Claire's more into Digimon than I am. But, no, I don't really think there's a big demand for Digimon fan art out there. And as much as I would love to just go rogue and draw whatever I wanted, you still got to make content that people will actually enjoy. And while I'm sure there's a small niche of people that would love some Digimon content, it would not be worth the invested time. And then, on top of that, I wouldn't want to do it anyway, so. Do I prefer Twitch or YouTube for streaming? Honestly, right now, I'm preferring YouTube. And I think it's not because one has some feature that the other doesn't have. It's just, for me, most of my income as a YouTuber, surprisingly, comes through YouTube. So I like kind of being able to bring my... Because, like, I'm getting consistently more viewers in my streams now that I've been streaming on YouTube than I was when I was streaming on Twitch. And it makes sense. I don't really have as big of a following on Twitch. I have a much, much bigger following on YouTube. So streaming on YouTube just means I get more people in my streams. No, not really into Yokai Watch either. I think I kind of missed Yokai Watch. I think when Yokai Watch came out, I was a little past the point where I was receptive to new collectible monster games. Kind of just stuck with Pokemon at this point. Best shiny luck I've ever had. Got a shiny Klefki in Scarlet after only 37 encounters. Congrats. Thank you for the luck on this Turtwig. Yeah, shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet makes shiny hunting seem easy, right? It's like I already have so many shinies in Scarlet, and meanwhile I've been doing this for about a year, and still no shiny Turtwig. I actually caught there now. It's getting to the point where I'm getting like dupes of many different shiny Pokemon. Just today I was playing Pokemon Go, and I found a shiny Hoppip, and it wasn't even like, I was like, oh, that's fun, but I wasn't even that exciting because between me and Claire, we have like 6 different shiny Skiplooms and Hoppips and Jumpluffs. I mean, it's still cute. I like shiny Hoppip. That's a good shiny. This is a shiny that I was really excited about. You can barely tell. Here, wait, I have to turn it around. But that's a shiny that I'm very excited about. Since you get this so once you get this Turtwig, what name do you have planned for it? You know, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think that I'm going to name it Twidgy, after my sister's Turtwig that she had when we were very little, and we used to play Pokemon when Diamond first came out. She was like 5 years old, and she couldn't spell Twiggy. She spelt it wrong, and I called it Twidgy, and she didn't like that because she was like, no, it's Twiggy, and I'm like, well, you spelled it Twidgy. Nope, no shiny Starlies. No shiny nothing. Could you do a sketch of the back of the Pokemon for the region going forward? Oh yeah, that's a good point. Doing turnarounds would probably help a lot for the sprites. Yeah, that would, it's a lot of extra work, but I might do that. Really, you know, if I was actually a professional concept artist working on a game, I would do full character sheets for all of these Pokemon, but it would just mean it takes a lot longer. So the tricky thing is, you know, now we're developing this fan game, which is really cool, and I love that we have a team of people working on that, but I still have to balance, you know, actually having an output of videos for my YouTube channel with, you know, making content that can be used in the game. And as much as I love the fan game, you know, I can't support myself doing that. I have to support myself making YouTube videos. So that means that I have to be able to use my time wisely and not spend too much time working on one project that is a video, and I have to also then balance my time between other things I do because I don't just work for YouTube. So I don't know. I would like to do that, but it would be a lot of extra work. So we'll see. Do I feel it's more satisfying to get shinies in older games because it's harder? I mean, I still like finding shinies in any games, but yeah, I've sort of become numb to catching shinies in Scarlet and Violet. It got really easy really fast. Between the outbreaks and the sandwiches, I have quite a few shinies already. I think shinies that still get me excited would be like, you know, the oh my god, what the hell is it called? You know, like the raids. What are they called? Yeah, terror raids. You know, that if I found a shiny in there because like that's full odds, like that would be exciting. But like, here, I'll show you. Here, I'll show you. So someone has to know that. What is it? The Snapcube Sonic dub? Here, I'll show you. Yeah, it's gotten to the point now where like even just like what gets me excited is like not hunting for a shiny Pokemon and finding a shiny Pokemon in the wild. That's still exciting. Um so like the amount of shinies that I have in Scarlet and Violet now um actually still feels small cuz compared to Legends Arceus. But like it's gotten to the point where like I have a couple of like full lines of shiny Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. And some of these I wasn't even looking for. Like these two, was not looking for these at all. Just found them. Um, this one I was hunting for because I really wanted a shiny Magikarp. Hunted for that one. Hatched for this one actually. I kind of stopped hatching because kind of stopped using the Matsuda method because it's actually easier to just use other methods and you can just change their nature and their stats and everything. So it's not really valuable breeding anymore. Unless it's a Pokemon that you can't find in outbreaks or doesn't spawn frequently to begin with. And like certain shiny Pokemon, like there was a Larvitar community day, a couple of Larvitar community days. So I have like maybe 10 shiny Larvitars in Pokemon Go. So like some of these Pokemon are just like now it's like the Pokemon that I don't have any shinies of. Those ones still get me excited. But yeah, like a lot of these I wasn't even looking for. This one I hunted, and this one was actually kind of a fun one to hunt because it was a little bit trickier. Because Applin only spawned in the trees, so I had to do this weird thing where I like I was on the outskirts of the area, and I had one of my Pokemon just attack a tree over and over again until they fell out. Even like the Paradox forms, like they're pretty easy to stumble on at this point. That's not shiny. And then like actually there's one other that I bred for. But there are other fun things now too, because you can now also hunt for marks, which is fun. And like now you can like, oh, I caught a shiny, but it doesn't have a fun mark. Like I was really happy with my shiny Tropius because it also had a mark, which is always fun. And then I have even more Pokemon in Shiny Arceus and in Legends Arceus. Yeah, what sucks, another reason I like Arceus more than I like Scarlet and Violet, especially for shiny hunting, is that the overworld models actually sparkle and make a sound when you find a shiny in the wild. But in Scarlet and Violet, for some reason they decided not to keep that. So you could walk right past the shiny, especially one with like an Applin, and just not even know that you walked past it. A couple of times I almost did, where I was like, I walked past a Pokemon, and then I was like, wait a minute, is that shiny? So the marks are, again, like shinies, are just completely cosmetic. Just every Pokemon has a chance to spawn with a mark, and that gives them a certain title. When you like send them out, it'll be like that Tropius. Its title is the Peckish. So when you send it out, it'll be, go Tropius the Peckish. And certain marks can only be found by doing certain things. They've sort of replaced ribbons. If you remember, like in older games, you could get ribbons for your Pokemon. Now, instead of ribbons, there are marks. And they give them different titles. Some marks are rarer than others. I did see the new trailer for Across the Spider-Verse. Very exciting. I thought it was really funny that they had Spot as a villain. Would make sense because he has the the interdimensional portals. I'm assuming that's going to have some tie-in with the fact that they're going into different dimensions. But that's like such an obscure Spider-Man villain. Yeah, I'm very excited for that. And the Mario movie, that is coming out tomorrow, I think. And that's exciting. I don't know when I'm actually going to go see it, but I have to go see it. I have been hunting this Turtwig for over a year. I've been like on and off hunting it. Now I'm really only doing the hunts on stream because it's gotten to the point where it's just fucking boring. So I've just been doing it on stream. Do I know a game called Rain World? No, I do not know a game called Rain World. I know an actor named Rainn Wilson. Not personally, I know of him. Got it around 872 soft resets. Nice. Yeah, usually I think the average, you know, when you look for starter full odds resets, shiny hunts, usually it's around between like 800 and 1200. So I'm hoping I'm in that threshold. But we'll see. Yeah, because then you never know. There's a chance that you just, you know, 6,000 soft resets and you still don't have one. I should look up Rain World. I might like it. You know what? You could be right. You very well may be right. I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. It was just on sale on Steam, and I've been wanting to buy it for years now. I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. It's like 10 bucks. I'm going to buy it. And I've been playing with my friend, and that's a fun game. That is a real fun game. I'm big into that game. Been having a lot of fun with that. What? Well, I'm just we're talking about game suggestions and new games, and picked up a new game. Wasn't this game? Bet I'm gonna get it soon. I believe in you. Thank you, The Duck Plays. Hope you're right. Have I ever played Risk of Rain 2? Yes, I have played Risk of Rain 2, and I have played Portal 2. Yeah, Risk of Rain 2 is a lot of fun. That's a fun game to play with friends. And Portal 2 is also a great game to play with friends. I remember playing that. I was so excited when Portal 2 was coming out, and I found out there was going to be a co-op game mode in Portal 2. What I wasn't expecting when Portal 2 came out was that the co-op game mode was going to have an entirely separate story. Portal 2 to this day is still one of my favorite games. That is an incredibly well-made game in every single capacity. And it's still fun to play. Every once in a while when I go back to my mom's house to visit, and my sister is there, we'll bust out my old Xbox and we'll play Portal 2, the local co-op. Because it's just fun. I mean, it's fun. You goof off, you try to solve the puzzles. Of course, we've done them a couple times now, so it's like, we think that we forgot how to solve the puzzle, and we're like, oh, it'll be fun to try to figure it out again. And then we're like, oh, wait, no, I remember how to do this. Will I pop off when I get the Turtwig? I probably won't like scream and shout. I'm not much of a screamer. I won't like jump up and run around. Not really my style. But I will definitely be very excited. I'll probably go or like if I'm not paying attention and I like look away for a second, then I look back and I go I'll probably do that. Or like oh shit. But I probably won't like jump and scream. Portal 2 is the closest thing to a perfect video game that exists. Yeah, I would say after Arcane, you know, the series came out, I started using the word masterpiece to describe things that I really liked, and I couldn't really say that a lot of things that I enjoyed, even though I enjoyed them, were actually masterpieces. Arcane is a masterpiece. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a masterpiece. And Portal 2 I would definitely say is a masterpiece. Even something like Skyrim, another game that I really love and another very iconic title that pretty much anyone who knows video games knows about Skyrim. I wouldn't call Skyrim a masterpiece because, you know, there are flaws. It's an amazing game, and you can't really expect for a game like that to be flawless because they were doing something incredibly ambitious. But, you know, the bugginess of Skyrim, I think, kind of keeps it from, like, you know, it's like if Masterpiece is up here, Skyrim is like just down here. Oh, Apprentice Piece. Yeah, it's close. I'm a UI designer, and Skyrim and Fallout are the bane of my existence. You know, what's interesting about Skyrim is that when I played Skyrim, I had very little experience with other video games. The only video games I'd really played up to that point were, like, just, like, big mainline Nintendo games, like Pokemon and Mario, and things of that nature. So I didn't have a lot of experience with open-world adventure games, so I sort of learned about the trends of that genre from Skyrim. So for me, Skyrim was sort of the standard of which I judged every other game against, you know, every other game that I'd played since then. So, like, the UI never bothered me because I didn't have anything to compare it against. Do I know what Splatoon is? I do. I may not know everything, but I don't live under a rock. I am aware of Splatoon. I've never played Splatoon, but I do know of its existence. I remember that game came out my freshman year of college, and I was very excited for it, but I never bought it, and then I still haven't. I haven't played Hollow Knight. That one, if I had a quarter for every time someone asked me if I've played Hollow Knight, and I said no, I would literally have about $100. You know, a lot of people like to exaggerate with that expression. I feel like I might as well tell it to you straight. I think people have asked me if I've played Hollow Knight at least 1,000 times at this point. But no, I've never played it. So, the bugs of Skyrim do kind of add to the charm, especially things like, you know, the giant knocking you up into the air, or, you know, using a plate to glitch through the geometry, or walking your horse straight up the side of a mountain. It is funny too because now I'm so familiar with Skyrim. Since Skyrim came out, since the 12 years since Skyrim's released, I've probably played like 2,000 hours of that game, and I don't know if I would be able to play it if they removed all the bugs. So many things I'm accustomed to are just me playing around the janky code of that game. Have I heard of Pokemon? No. That sounds familiar, though. Is that kind of like Digimon? Have I played any Persona games? No, I haven't played any Persona games. It's another one. A lot of people... just people asking. Alright, keep asking me if I've heard of games. I've heard of Persona, I've just never played Persona. I know people who like Persona. I don't think I would like it. Again, I'm not really into turn-based RPGs, with the exception of Pokemon. But I'm also not really like a big anime guy. Like, an anime aesthetic doesn't really sell me on a game. Love your custom region, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Cuphead. I have played Cuphead. I love Cuphead. Still haven't beat that. I've been slowly beating Cuphead with one of my friends for about 4 years now. I think we've been trying to beat that game. We only play like... At this point, we're only playing like once a year for like 2-hour-long sessions. And then we're like, we beat a boss and we're like, okay, that's good. Let's do something else. So we're very slowly beating Cuphead. Have I ever heard of Fire Emblem? Yes, I've heard of Fire Emblem. Claire's a Fire Emblem enjoyer. So is her sister. Again, I don't think I would like Fire Emblem. I played the... What was the Fire Emblem game I played with the big booby lady? She had a dragon. Fire Emblem Warriors. Yeah, I didn't like that. Donkey Kong 69. No, I've never played Donkey Kong 69. But in all seriousness, Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, those are some of my favorite. In fact, I might say that Donkey Kong Country Returns... Actually, all of those games. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Those might be masterpieces. Claire is a shiny hunter. She's not quite as obsessive as I am. She does have a pretty big collection of shinies. But she doesn't spend nearly... She doesn't waste nearly as much time as I do. But she's gotten some good shinies. Back in the Sun and Moon days, we were doing a lot of shiny hunting. She did a couple legendary shiny hunts. You got Latios, Nihilego. Those are your 2 Ultra Wormhole shinies. Did you do another one?
No, I don't think I did any legendary shiny hunts other than that.
Whoops, that's not what I meant to do.
The rest were just normal.
Never... Actually, I might have played some Ratchet and Clank when I was in college. Because my friend brought his PlayStation and a bunch of old games. I think I played a little. Yeah, but Tropical Freeze, I would say, is a pinnacle of 2D platforming. I have not played another platformer, 2D or 3D for that matter, though it is kind of apples and oranges. But I've never played another platformer that I enjoyed as much as Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze. Those games are pretty flawless. Really love those games. Have to go, but my guess is 1,121. All right, thank you. We have a lot of guesses here. Good evening, Speedy24. Is it true that I am going to make a new region? No, it is not true. That was an April Fool's prank. It was a lie. It was a trick. It was a deception, a ruse. A jest, perhaps. I'm not making a new region. After Maza is done, I have a new project that I'm really excited to start. It doesn't have nothing to do with Pokemon, but it will not be a Pokemon region. Have I ever played Monopoly? I actually have. Monopoly is a big deal in my family. When I was growing up, I've probably been playing Monopoly since I was like 6 years old, honestly. My grandfather loves Monopoly, and when I would go over his house when I was a kid, I would stay over with my sisters, and me and my siblings and my grandparents would all play Monopoly. And I honestly love Monopoly. I think it's a really fun board game. Um, I enjoy it quite a bit. I like board games. Cranium, Settlers of Catan. You know, it's fun, and I like playing games with other people. So board games are a lot of fun for that. Any hints for this new project? Yes, it will have to do with the Apoctober and Mermaid series that I've done on YouTube. In fact, this year I plan to do Mermaid again, and I want to integrate some of what I plan to do after Maza into this year's Mermaid. When I played Monopoly, so my grandfather had a copy of Monopoly that was actually like 45 years old. It's even older now because he still has the same copy, and that was the original set. So it was just the original pieces. In that set, I liked the ship, you know, like the Navy ship. I think that was usually my favorite, or the jockey and the horse. But then for my birthday one year, my mom got me like some anniversary edition of Monopoly. And that one came with a special piece that was a money bag. And then that was the piece that I like to play with. Then a few years later, I got a Monopoly that was Nintendo Monopoly. And that had a bunch of different pieces too. And I think that one I liked playing as the Lloyd from Animal Crossing. And now the copy of Monopoly that I own as an adult is TF2 Monopoly. And I think I usually play as the Saxy. What color do I main in Catan? I think if I could pick any color that I would want to pick, I would pick red. But when we play, we usually say one person gets to pick, and then we go around in a circle, and if I'm the last one to pick, then I don't usually get the one I want. Pokemon Johto Monopoly, nice. I have since heard that there is another Monopoly set, like a new anniversary set of Monopoly that has a T-Rex piece. If I ever get that version of Monopoly, oh mama, I'm gonna be using the T-Rex piece. Oh, there are so many. You can think of almost any marketable franchise out there, or non-marketable franchise out there, and there will be a Monopoly set for it. Go ahead, look up anything you can imagine. Literally anything you can imagine. Pokemon, The Office, fucking medicine school in China, right? What was the one we found? It was like the Hong Kong University Monopoly set or something like that. I said, well, you do still have the tab open. Singapore Management University Monopoly. Yeah, that would be a great gift, Claire. Scott the Wasp Monopoly set. Okay, yeah, actually, you know what? If that existed, I would be surprised. You know what? Probably should exist, but I actually don't know if it does. The Maza region Monopoly. League of Legends Monopoly. Okay, is this real? No, there's no League of Legends. Okay, that's actually a fucking crime. There's no League of Legends Monopoly set? Georgia Tech Monopoly. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, you think there's a mass art Monopoly board? Can you imagine, like porn monopolies? Yeah. Whoa. Strip Monopoly. Monopoly might be the least sexy game. Unless you're like Jack Donaghy and you're really into capitalism. And the idea of like buying and selling properties gets you really hard. Scott the Wasp Monopoly exists? I'm looking this up. Son of a gun. It does exist. Claire, would you get the Scott the Woz Monopoly set?
Again, I think it would be a great gift.
There might be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Monopoly, honestly. That makes sense. I can't believe there's not a League of Legends Monopoly. What? That's not true? I guess for merchandise, but they've been like, the Riot Forge is like the entire point of it is licensing their IP. If League of Legends Monopoly existed, it would probably be unbalanced. Damn, they're kind of right, though. The question is, would the properties be locations in Runeterra, or would they be different champions? Could you, like, buy Darius? Would this just be, like, one of the red properties? Just be, like, Darius, Samira, and Kled, just, like, 3 Noxus champions? No, they would have to be locations. And then the artwork on the cards could have the champions on them.
I want it just so I can play as a Poro.
Oh, Poro would definitely be a piece. Poro would be a piece. I bet like one of Teemo's mushrooms would be a piece. The default ward would be a piece. Alright, Riot Games, reach out to me. Come on, let's design this Monopoly game. Honestly, if my legacy on this planet was making a League of Legends Monopoly game, I'd be fine with that. I'd be proud. Yes, we had that Monopoly game where it had the credit card. And it was actually kind of convenient because we took it, we would often take Monopoly camping. My family also went on a lot of camping trips. And Monopoly outdoors is pretty difficult to play because all your money can blow around. But having the credit card was actually pretty helpful. The only thing is that in that version of the game, they changed the prices of the properties on the board. So like normally the properties go from $200 all the way up to the most expensive property, which was $2,000 or $4,000. Boardwalk $4,000. I think Boardwalk is $4,000. No, that's the rent. Anyway, but the most money in the game was like $4,000, but they changed it to millions. So like the cheapest property was like 100,000 and the most expensive property was like 100 million, and that made it really confusing. So I think we stopped playing that version of Monopoly. Because it was just like, yes, we didn't have to keep track of physical money anymore, but it was just like so much more math to try to calculate, you know, how much a hit you were going to take for landing on a property. And it was like $350,000. What else would be a good piece for League of Legends Monopoly? Baron. Oh, Scuttle Crab. That would be a good piece. Baron might be a little too crazy. Baron could be a property. Baron could be like Boardwalk. You have to go to the Baron pit. Oh no, that would be it. Baron, Nasher, and Elder Dragon would be Boardwalk and Park Place. The railroads could be, oh, the utilities could be red buff and blue buff. The railroads could be, what, towers? Towers don't have unique names, though. Maybe the railroads could be world runes. Monopoly has a monopoly on board games with IP themes. I mean, it's pretty much the board game. The chip from Legends of Runeterra, the little Krug. Oh, that'd be so cute. What would the houses be shaped like? Oh, that's a good question. Maybe the houses could be minions. If you put 4 minions on a property, it turns into a super minion. That's like the hotel. That's too complicated of a shape, though. Maybe the houses could be... I don't know. I feel like they usually just keep the houses and hotels the same shape as the default game. Monopoly Normal People Edition. Everybody is broken. You can't own any property. I like that. Brutal reality check Monopoly. You know, I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but Monopoly was actually made during the Great Depression, and part of its initial success was because people could play out a fantasy of buying and selling property in a time where most people couldn't even afford to eat. And that's what made it such a popular game. And, I mean, that fantasy has pretty much always existed, at least in American culture. Like, the idea of having more money and so much money that you're buying and selling whole properties in Atlantic City, like, that is, you know, a dream I think a lot of people have. Can't say it's my dream, but it is something that a lot of people aspire towards, and it's a very simple fantasy to play out. You are getting the Monopoly lore. Hello, the Jeremon. Yeah, it's really funny that this game starts off... The lore of this game is that we're looking for a shiny Pokemon. Barry's on board with this whole idea of soft resetting. He was like, well, if you weren't going to soft reset for a shiny starter, I was going to soft reset for a shiny Gyarados, so I'm glad one of us is trying to find a shiny. And I'm like, Barry, I have like 20 shiny Magikarps in my Pokemon home. Just take one of those. What do I think of the art style of this game? You know, here's the thing about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. The last generation remake before this one was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Those games were incredible. Now, I have a huge sense of nostalgia for Sapphire, Ruby and Sapphire, because those were the first games I ever played. But that aside, the way that they not just updated but improved on those games kind of set a standard for how I expected those kinds of remakes to go in the future. Same thing with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which came out before ORAS. Those were also incredible games. So when this was announced, I was kind of disappointed because I was like, this does not look like it's improving on the game. It kind of just looks like it's just bringing the graphics into 2021. It didn't even change the style of the characters. It just gave them more polygons. But I don't hate it. It just was a little disappointing because I was expecting, you know, something that looked like Sword and Shield, but it was, you know, a revisiting of Diamond and Pearl. However, Legends Arceus now up to the standard again, because now, instead of just expecting the same game but with a few new things, we have this new standard where it's like, wait, we get expanded lore on the area of this world, we get new Pokemon, we get an entirely new gameplay style, we get new story, we get new characters. So they kind of took like one step forward, or rather one step back and 3 steps forward. Because this was kind of a letdown, but Pokemon Legends Arceus was like, whoa, holy shit, that's super cool. So I don't know if they're going to keep making Legends games. I hope they do. I think it would be pretty cool. Legends Arceus, I can see it becoming, you know, the start of a new series of Pokemon games, but I can also see it being its own isolated thing. I do hope that they go back and do another thing like it. Maybe it doesn't have to be like Let's Go Back in Time, but just something like that where it's a different style of Pokemon game revisiting the same a region that we're already familiar with. Yeah, Diamond was never my favorite Pokemon game. I part of the problem that I had with Diamond was when I was playing Diamond, my friends were sort of losing interest in Pokemon. And the same thing where I don't really like Black and White all that much is because when Black and White came out, none of my friends really played Pokemon anymore. We were in high school when Black and White came out, and my friends were like too cool for Pokemon at that point. And they kind of stopped playing Pokemon, and I was sort of like, oh, all right. And I played it, but the whole time I was kind of like, wow, this will be like the last Pokemon game I play. But I still stayed into Pokemon. And then it was funny because, like, I got into high school, my friends lost interest in Pokemon. X and Y came out my senior year of high school. I met more people who were into Pokemon. They told me about, like, the competitive scene of Pokemon. I started to learn a whole different side of Pokemon. And then by the time I got to college, I met a bunch of people who really liked Pokemon. And then I got really back into Pokemon again. Mystery Dungeon I liked as a kid. Ranger I liked as a kid. But I understand why they maybe don't feel like making another game spin-off like that, because I don't know how well they would do in the modern day. I literally don't know. Maybe they would do well. But I've played both of those games again, Mystery Dungeon and Ranger, as an adult, and I don't really like them as much now as I did when I was a kid. Do a video on my opinions of every Diamond and Pearl Pokemon? I would do that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll go through the DP Pokedex and do a tier list on stream. That could be fun. Gen 4 has, like, 2 or 3 Pokemon that I love, and then everything else is kind of just like, yeah. Like, there's nothing from Gen 4 that I really hate. I'd have to go through and check. Hippowdon. I don't really like Hippowdon, but I don't hate it. Yeah, that was when I realized, because Mystery Dungeon DX was coming out, and I was like, let me play the old Mystery Dungeon again and see if I liked it as much as I remember. And I didn't. So I was like, okay, I'm not buying that. Because I also bought Super Mystery Dungeon a few years before that, and I didn't enjoy that either. So I was like, okay, Mystery Dungeon is not really something I like. 3 more and it's a shiny? Alright. If you say so. I haven't done a Gen 2. Maybe I'll go in order. Maybe I'll go, because I did Gen 1, I did Gen 9. Maybe I'll have to go and do Gen 2 next. Make a tier list. Yeah, that was another game that I bought, and I kind of regretted buying it, was Pokemon Snap. Like, Pokemon Snap is charming. To me, it was not a $60 game. A lot of the trailers I saw for Pokemon Snap were like adults playing with their children, and I think that is like really cute, and I think that is the perfect context for Pokemon Snap. An adult playing Pokemon Snap by himself, it wasn't fun. It wasn't that fun. I did play Pokemon Snap with my nieces, and they really liked it. But even they got bored of it pretty quickly. I thought like maybe they would really like it, and they were like kind of into it for about 10 minutes, and then they lost interest. And then then they wanted to play Mario Party. Alright, tomorrow I'll do a Gen 2 tier list. We'll go up through the ranks, although I won't be streaming for a while after tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my last night streaming for about a week and a half because I'm traveling. But I'll do a Gen 2 tier list tomorrow. Alright, we'll probably do this until 1070. Once we hit 1070, we'll call this stream over. Really enjoyed listening to your opinions on Pokemon. I think Gen 9 really opened my eyes to how anything can be a Pokemon. Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, it's just, I've gotten to the point now where I'm so used to new generations of Pokemon coming out and people saying that doesn't look like a real Pokemon. And it makes sense because you've never seen it before. You're not familiar with the design as a real Pokemon. So yes, it probably doesn't feel like a real Pokemon. But the thing is that, you know, there isn't one set of rules to describe what can or can't feel like a Pokemon. I think there are some Pokemon from Gen 1 that I might still argue don't feel like Pokemon, but that's a pointless argument because they are Pokemon. So, yes, they should feel like Pokemon because they are setting the standard for what a Pokemon should feel like. Got an artist question for you. What is my favorite and least favorite body part to draw? I love drawing hands, but I also hate drawing hands. I kind of agree with that. I do love drawing hands. I used to hate drawing feet, but I've started to actually use reference, and understanding the internal anatomy of feet has helped me not dread drawing feet so much. So feet, I don't really bother me anymore. This is actually going to come as a surprise. Boobs are hard for me to draw. I don't hate drawing boobs, but boobs are very frustrating to draw. It's just like, you know, it's one of those things where there's so many different variables at play. And really boobs don't have the same kind of structural anatomy that other parts of the body do. You know, there are no joints, there are no bones, there are no muscles, but there's still a lot of physic. And you know, it can be hard sometimes. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I need good reference to draw boobs. And it's like, okay, sure you do. But you do need good reference to even draw boobs. So it's just like, no. Trust me. I'm looking this up on official artist business. I need to figure out how to draw the boobs. But I wouldn't say that's my least favorite thing to draw. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna lock this in. My least favorite thing to draw? Noses. Noses are really hard because they're really hard to stylize. It's so easy to either just make like a triangle and just go super cartoony, or you know, hyper render it, but to get in the middle there is really tough. And it can be like, you know, you end up with some weird cast shadow that makes it look like it has a mustache, or you make it too wrinkly and your character suddenly becomes way older than you wanted it to. I think noses might be my least favorite thing to draw on a human anatomy. Unfortunately, we did not get the 1069. I reckon that balls are equally hard to draw. Yes, but I don't really draw testicles all that often. Unlike testicles, boobs actually affect the overall design and silhouette of your character. I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of character you're drawing, but in my artwork, testicles don't really affect the... I'm not drawing naked characters, so the testicles don't really play a big role in the overall shape of my character. Boobs do. So loudly about boobs and testicles. This is important. If anyone's outside listening right now, this is important stuff that artists have to deal with. Alright, 1070. This is the last one we're doing tonight. And if it's not this, I'm never soft resetting again. Just kidding. I will keep going. Fingers are tough. Fingernails are tough. Where to put fingernails on the fingers. But I like drawing hands. I've gone from hating drawing hands to like drawing hands. It really comes down to how much reference you want to use and how many studies you do. Knuckles and stuff, understanding bones and tendons and stuff. And nothing. All right. Well, unfortunately, that's going to be the end of tonight's stream. But thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to be back tomorrow night for another stream. We're not going to be doing this. Tomorrow night, I think I will do a Gen 2 tier list. I will go through the entirety of the Gen 2 Pokedex, and I'll make a little tier list. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I did one for Gen 9. I did one for Gen 1. Let's go through the rest of the Pokedexes in order. So that'll be tomorrow night, probably around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to come join me, please feel free. Until then, peace, and I'll talk to you later.